From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight,
Ijoma Oyato.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, 21 years after the aborted June 12 elections, Nigerians renew call for sustenance of democracy. All political parties summit holds in Abuja. President Jonathan says his political ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. Nigerian Medical Association threatens to down tools, gives 14-day ultimatum to the federal government. And US considers next action in the fight against militants in Iraq. President Obama puts all options on the table. Business news tonight. CBN devises strategy to overcome fraudulent bank transactions in Nigeria.
And on sports news tonight, after several uncertainties, the biggest football showpiece on earth, the FIFA World Cup kicks off in Brazil.
I'm Linda Kibe, and from Abuja, rowdy session at National Conference over a motion to honor June 12 activists and martyrs, including late Chief Moshood Abiola. It's been 21 years, and the June 12, 1993 presidential election is still being referred to as the best ever conducted in Nigeria's history. On that day, millions of Nigerians trooped out to perform their civic duty, looking beyond ethno-religious bias to participate in the electoral process. The controversy here is that the election, believed to have been won by the late Chief Moshood Abiola, on the platform of the defunct Social Democratic Party, was annulled by the military regime under General Ibrahim Babangida. After waiting for over a year with his mandate nowhere in sight, Abiola took his destiny in his hands when, on return from a search for foreign support, he declared himself the lawful president of Nigeria on June the 11th, 1994. His address delivered in Lagos included an announcement that he had formed a government of national unity, which he was to head. He died on July the 7th, 90 different events to mark the day. While staying with the June 12 anniversary, Nigerians and some state governments still recognize the importance of this day. At different events to commemorate the anniversary today in Lagos, two state governors, Abdul Fattah Ahmed of Kwara and his Lagos counterpart, Babatunde Fashola, listed lessons for Nigeria's current democracy.
A child born on June 12, 1993, can no longer be treated as one at age 21. It is in this same manner that Nigerians and Democrats have gone from lamenting the annulment of that historic election to trying to consolidate on the gains and opportunities it brought. At a public lecture put together by the Lagos State Council of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed of Kwara State wants the electorate to increase its quest for true leadership.
The truth is, June 12 has become a guide to where we are coming from, how we got to where we are today, and where we are going and what we need to get there. I salute the courage and resilience of those who suffered intimidation and persecution in defense of popular will. Today's event, no doubt, reminds us to remain vigilant and to be more assertive in our demand for good governance as our country approaches perhaps the most crucial general elections in her checkered history.
Elsewhere, the Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola believes that as those elections approach, there is need for building proper democratic culture amongst the electorate.
We must not have elections without testing the capacity of the candidates, without having debates. We cannot go to elections without putting the candidates to test. And debates on TV across sections must become part of our democratic culture. And it enables us to make that informed choice of our competence. So we can no longer vote on emotions and empathy.
Going forward, how well Nigeria handles the current security situation in the northeast and pockets of internal party crisis across the country will determine if these advices have been heeded. Henry Ogunjimi, Channels Television News.
And still more on the June 12 anniversary. Some southwestern states today declared holidays to commemorate the day, as we reported. At the MKO Abiola family house in Ogun State, prayers were held for the late politician. His son, Jamiu Abiola, challenged the Nigerian government to always stand up for the masses. Our correspondent Loretta Chiogo takes a look at the various events on the anniversary of MKO Abiola's death.
It's still very controversial and not in any way to be forgotten. MKO Abiola's death in 1993 after his acclaimed victory at the presidential poll and subsequent annulment. 21 years after, the day is visibly marked in most southwestern states. A cross-section of persons in Kwara State, the north-central region of Nigeria, share mixed feelings about the recognition of the date.
I would say that June 12 should have been chosen as Democracy Day in Nigeria because the June 12, 1993 was the day Nigerians say goodbye to ethnicity. It was the day Nigerians say goodbye to religious acrimony and all sorts of things.
June 12, it is around an individual. Democracy cannot be around an individual. My own personal opinion is that we should stay with October 1st, and that is the Independence Day of Nigeria.
In Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital in the southwestern part of Nigeria, a special prayer session is organized by the state government. Members of the Abiola family, state government delegation led by the secretary to the state government, among others, gather at the Okeagbo family home of the Abiolas for the session.
Most important thing is for Nigerian government to do as much as they can do to make people comfortable and, because that's what my father fought for. He fought for the masses.
In Osun State, in the same region, which also marks June 12 as holiday, the government and civil society organizations are concerned about Nigeria getting it right at every poll.
The retrogressive forces annulled the election of Abiola 21 years ago. So are they working hard to prevent our people from living a good life? Wherever you see people who have no agenda for the masses, know that they belong to those forces who revel in backwardness, retrogression, oppression, and exploitation.
The Nigerian government has not minced words in its recognition of the May 29th date as Democracy Day, while the June 12 date remains in contention also. The question: would the date have a part to play in entrenching the much-longed-for peace and tranquility, plus better governance? Your answer is as good as mine. Loretta Chiogo, Channels Television News.
Now, June 12, 1993 is perhaps one of the most significant dates in Nigeria's history. And as the country's return to democracy clocks 15 years, memories of the annulment of an election considered Nigeria's most free and fair still linger in the minds of many Nigerians. Now, as some states of the country mark the day and observe a public holiday, this report examines what June 12 stands for on a national scale.
Nigerians want a change, and they have said so through the ballot box.
The decision of the federal military government to cancel the election of June 12 is invidious of patriotism.
Those were the emotions conveyed after the June 12, 1993 presidential elections were annulled by the then head of state, Ibrahim Babangida. And these were his reasons.
It is true that the presidential election was generally seen to be free, fair, and peaceful. However, there was in fact a huge array of electoral practices virtually in all the states of the Federation before the actual voting began.
Riots, protests, civil disobedience, and everything possible were done to convince the military junta, but all to no avail. 20 years after the annulment, there is still huge support for the elections most people see as perhaps the freest and fairest in Nigeria's history. But that mandate never had sway. Painful but real, the sacrifice made of the 1993 polls may not be unconnected with the survival of Nigeria's budding democracy. Since the return to democracy in 1999, there's been a big question on the integrity of elections in the country. And now 2015 is another big election year. Nigerians will of course not accept anything short of a free and fair polls. Since his death in 1998, MKO Abiola has been seen by some people as a representation of the hopes and certainty of the agony and protest of those who suffer injustice. As June 12 anniversary clocks 21 years, one can only hope that the people's voice will continually be heard as against the will of a few. Everyone indeed has a role to play in the sustenance of Nigeria's democracy and civil rights. But for now, it is still unclear what MKO Abiola stands for nationally. Seun Okinbaloye, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, more on the June 12 anniversary. Plus, President Jonathan asks political leaders to help tackle insecurity, says his political ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. That's all coming up in a moment. Do join us again.